Hello, my name is Chau Giang. I am from Hanoi, Vietnam. Hanoi is in the north of Vietnam and it has four seasons, in which summer is very hot. Did you know that the summer in 2021 is the hottest summer with 54 degrees Celsius? It was so hot that I had to indoors all day and night with the AC on. That's a result of global warming. Global warming did a lot of damage. More frequent and severe weather, higher temperatures are worsening many types of disasters, including storms, heat waves, floods, droughts, higher death rates, and dirtier air. In 2015, the United Nations had to address urgent actions to combat climate change by giving 17 goals of sustainable development, in which goal 13 is to combat climate change. In the meantime, the Paris Agreement signed in 2015 and entered into force in 2016. Its goal is to limit climate change minus 2 degrees Celsius, preferably 1.5 degrees Celsius. To achieve this goal, all countries have to achieve global peaking of reducing greenhouse gas emissions as soon as possible to achieve a climate neutral world by mid-century agreement. But reducing greenhouse gas emissions requires a large investment. Therefore, the Paris Agreement has several frameworks for financial, technical, and capacity building support from developed countries to developing and least developed countries. But the least developed countries' priority is poverty reduction. So how can they balance between poverty reduction and reducing and investment into greenhouse gas emissions? Well, to answer the question, let's take an example from my neighbor country, Laos. In 2020 to 2021, Laos announced their national determined contributions in which they've launched the following policies to combat climate change. For their use, land and forestry, they've increased 70% of land area, buffer zones of national parks, and other preserves and enhancement to forest carbon stocks. For the solar and wind, they have 1 gigawatt total installed capacity in the country and 300 megawatts of total installed capacity for the biomass. And the biofuels have to meet 10% of the transport fuels. For the final energy consumption, we need to have 10% of the reduction of final cost energy consumption compared to business as usual scenario. And for the agriculture, we need to have 50,000 hectares of adjusted water management for lowland rice cultivation. And finally, Laos PTR would welcome any legal or technical assistance in adjusting forest demarcation to match existing forested areas and not to misuse any of the forested areas that are not in the forest demarcation yet. And that's how a least developed country can integrate the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and also balance between poverty reduction and investment into greenhouse gas emissions. Thank you for listening. I am sorry if my voice is a bit weird because I'm having a fever, so my voice isn't exactly great.
I'm sorry you're not feeling well. Thanks for being here today. Um, I have a question for you. It's a question I've asked a few students today, uh, talking about this issue, talking about social issues in general. Um, in the middle of your speech, you state, but to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, it requires a large investment. And you explain yourself after, but I want to ask you generally, do you think your opinion, there's no wrong answer, just your opinion. Do you think the investment, the responsibility is more for the government or for businesses, public, private, which?
Well, I think that it's more for the business because the government also depends on the businesses to help change their economies and also make them better because without the businesses, it's all up to the government to make the decisions and make all the money. So I think that it's more for the businesses because because like if because people buy products from businesses usually more. So I think that if the businesses couldn't could use ways that have to pollute the environment, then the government will be affected and the economy could crash.
Okay, thanks.